Jeez.
Call the meeting to order. Will you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance. You're putting it back on now.
For you too, Bob. I appreciate that.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lennius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Can I say that I'm only here under protest, sitting next to a Falcon stocking hat?
And the jokes begin.
Yeah. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion from Lennius, second by Vaughn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Aye.
Thank you. I have to keep remembering that. Thank you, Deb. All the motion carried. Was anybody signed in? Nothing? Okay. Then we will go on to the consent agenda. Motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the January 9th, 2017 regular meeting and the January 16th, 2017 special council meeting. Fire Department financials for the month of December. Casey's General Store number 2169, Class B native wine permit, Class C beer permit, carry-out beer, Class E liquor license, and Sunday sales, January 30th, 2017 through January 29th, 2018. And the Dollar General Store 2329, Class B wine permit, Class C beer permit, and Sunday sales, March 1st, 2017 through February 28th, 2018.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Aye.
Thanks. Motion carried. We have a change on our claims, did you say, Gina?
Yes, this morning Far Beverage called us with their delivery for the Parks and Recreation Department. We have the bags tournament coming up for the canine fundraiser, so they did not have enough money in their account to pay for all of that purchase, so we had to cut a check today for $751.94. That claim is at your workstations. And Deb, I'll send it off to you too. It is attached to the agenda.
Okay. What does that, so it changes it up, that amount of money from what you had in here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions or discussion? Then do I have a motion to approve the claims for payment?
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Lennius, second by Vaughn. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
the same. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is Avery Hanaway for Catholic Schools Week. If you want to come forward, just give us your name and address, please.
So I'm Avery Hanaway, and I live at 2142 260th Street, Independence, Iowa.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Avery Hanaway, and I am an 8th grader at St. John's School here in Independence. I am pleased to be here this evening to announce the beginning of Catholic Schools Week on Sunday, January 29th. From the 29th to the following Saturday, February 4th, Catholic schools all over our country will celebrate their commitment to our faith, service, and high academic standards. As a Catholic student, I am in a good position to share with you what I like best about St. John's. I like the family atmosphere at St. John's School. We all know each other and help each other whenever there is a need. Older students are buddies with younger students, which helps the younger students have role models and the older kids stay involved. Everyone does their part for service, and St. John students volunteer many hours each year giving to others. I also appreciate the smaller class sizes and the individual help that our teachers are willing to give. We have access to first-class technology and opportunities to learn about things like coding. St. John Middle School students all have the opportunity to participate in STEM classes to advance their math and science skills. Health classes are also taught to all middle school students, and 8th graders have the opportunity to take Algebra 1. We have many chances to participate in the fine arts, including school musicals, band lessons, art classes, and lots of writing contests and activities. St. John's has sports programs of their own, and students also participate at the public school and other programs. These different activities are available to all students, not just a selective few. St. John's School gives me an opportunity to learn more about my faith and practice it every day. I am glad my parents chose this school for me and hope St. John's will be an option for Independence area families for a long time. Thank you for allowing me to address you this evening.
Thank you. Any comments?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You did a very nice job having to look at a Falcon stocking hat while you were talking.
She may be a fan. She may be a fan, you don't know.
It's an eagle, right?
Thanks a lot, Avery. Next on the agenda is planning and zoning wind turbines, Chapter 3, Section 3.24, setting a date for the hearing is what we need. Motion to set the date of hearing is February 13th, 2017, for the addition of regulations on the installation and operation of wind energy conversion systems within the city of Independence.
I'll make a motion.
Okay?
I'll second.
Motion by Lennius, second by Hill. Any other discussion? That date's okay? You need a roll call for this? Okay.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Under new business, we have the Independence Central ground lease. Motion to approve a ground lease with Iowa RSA number 12, limited partnership for a communications antenna tower.
This is a tower in First Ward Park. It'd be directly east of the water tower. It will hold booster equipment. It's not actually a cell tower. It captures a signal and will strengthen the signal in parts of town that are currently missed by the current U.S. cellular tower signal. It's a 25 by 35 foot footprint. It's a single pole tower, so it doesn't have all the guy wires and what have you. The area will be enclosed in a vinyl, they're proposing a vinyl fence versus a chain link fence, so I think it'll look better than chain link. There will be a small equipment building inside of that footprint as well. They're proposing a $500 option. It's an 18-month option for them to do all of their study and review. If they move ahead with it, it's $500 a month for the lease, for a 5-year lease. A couple of things that you need to be aware of. They did ask for 5 extensions or renewal periods of 5 years each. That's a little bit longer than we generally go. Normally, we don't go much over 20 years, but they were emphatic on having those options that are out there. And if we want to limit the lease to the 20 years, there's a provision for the city to notify them in advance. It's a lot of lead time, but it does give them, give us an opportunity to cancel it in at any point in those 5-year leases. If they fail to use the equipment, if they decide to abandon the tower, they have to remove everything to within 3 feet below ground level. They don't take all of the footings out because that goes down quite a ways. That could be 8, 10 feet deep, but they do have a requirement to remove it 3 feet below the surface, and for the park that we're using it in, that would suffice. I don't see us having anything that would require us to have it removed lower than that. They are responsible for property taxes on that parcel of land should property taxes be levied. The way it works is we'd have to pay them and then pay the property taxes and then bill them back, but they would be responsible for the potential of any property taxes on the parcel. They are required to maintain their insurance at $2 million. They do have the right to sublet the property if they bring another company in. That company is responsible for a comparable ground lease as these folks have, which would give you the right to approve or disapprove of it at that point in time. They do have the right to assign space on the tower or assign the lease to one of their other units of business within their company. But if they go to anything outside of their company, they would have to come here for a ground lease.
I'll make a motion.
Before we do, I guess, this park already has the water tower.
Correct.
Have we had any feedback from people that live around the park as to what their feelings are?
I have not had any feedback. We have not done a lot of advertising of this either, to be fair.
I guess I kind of think people should maybe have an opportunity to at least express their thoughts on it. I don't know.
I don't know. It's,
Does that affect the ball diamond?
if we want to do that, but it's,
It does not affect the ball diamond. It is in a part of the park that is, again, east of the water tower, but not directly in line with the ball field. It is adjacent to a picnic shelter on the south side of the park.
That's my area. I would call people if we would cable this for now.
Actually, Deb, it's not.
no, it's mine.
No, it isn't.
Oh, it's not. Mine stops
First
at
ward-
8th Avenue.
First Ward Park is in the second ward.
Yeah. Okay, Denny's responsible.
Yeah, I'm responsible. Hope the water tower don't fall down.
Are you wanting to address this, Karen?
I just had a couple of questions about it. It doesn't say how high that this tower is?
The tower is 106 feet to the top of the lightning rod.
Okay, then, if this is high enough for anyone else to use of any kind of communications, are they allowed to do that? You know, if there's another company that wants to come in and put on something on top of that? Is this exclusively for this company only, for their use and for the length of time and for it has to come back to the council before anyone else uses this equipment?
The tower is exclusively for this company and their subunits or other business entities under there.
Within them, yeah.
Right. If there is another company outside of their business unit that has an interest in having equipment on there, the lease for the equipment on the tower is between the two entities. The ground lease, however, has to be approved by the council, which is, in essence, the council's right to approve any subletting outside of their business unit.
And then is this $500 a month through the whole term of the 25 years? Or is this negotiated at some point in time?
They are a series of 5-year leases. Every 5 years, it's an automatic inflation index of 10%. So each 5 years, it would go up 10% a year for the lease.
And then where does this income go to? Is this into the city's coffers, or is this into another area? Where is this money being,
This goes into the city's general fund
general fund, and dispersed as
as the council sees fit.
anything? Okay, thank you.
I guess, I think, I mean, you can obviously leave it open, but if one or two people come, I'm not inclined to leave it open for discussion. It's on city land. I guess, I don't know. I'm inclined to not leave it open for discussion, because I'm sure that there's going to be people complain just to complain. And then what are we going to do?
How tall is it in comparison to the water tower there? Does anybody know how tall the water tower is?
Doug should know that.
Boy,
Put you on the spot, Doug. I'm sorry.
It is lower than,
Huh?
That's actually the fourth ward. You want to go up to the highway there, Denny. Second ward, then across Main Street here.
I thought we was talking about the First Ward Park.
We are.
And
the
there-
fence one
second
across
ward.
from the courthouse.
Hmm?
The park across from the courthouse.
well,
It's in the Fourth Ward, First Ward.
ultimately, it'll be in the responsibility of the council,
Yeah.
you know, as a whole. It is 484 feet, give or take, from the existing tower at the courthouse, so it's in the same general area. I don't have the height on the water tower. I believe the water tower is going to be comparable, but I don't know which direction.
But it does not interfere with any of our banding and stuff that our fire department or police department or anybody has.
No, we cleared all that through the counties. That's where that ordinance really sets us with the county as far as our bandwidths and stuff on our
Okay.
communication
And they've
towers.
approved this or have not had any problem with the height of it or anything to that degree?
No.
There was an attempt to partner with the county on the existing tower to use that. The county declined. They didn't feel like they wanted additional equipment on their tower. We did talk about the possibility of adding the equipment to the water tower, and that was not received very favorably. Due to the weight of the equipment and what have you, they didn't want to put the extra load onto the water tower. And this is our oldest water tower that may have had something to do with it. But again, I mean, however you want to move forward with it, it's,
And I'll just throw in my 2 cents. Al got me involved in this from the get-go, and we've been reviewing the contract back and forth. And one of the things I looked at is, you know, if we're disposing of any real estate, we have to have a public hearing. And but we're not disposing of it, we're leasing it, we're retaining all our ownership rights, we're just letting someone rent it from us, that space. And we retained it at the end. So I didn't consider this to be a disposal of real estate. But if the council wanted to have public comment, we could, I think, fit it into that code section as it affects real estate, and there would certainly be no reason not to. So if you wanted to have public comment, I think if you wanted that, you could make a motion, and then Al and I could put out the public notice, just like if we were disposing of real estate.
right.
So that's an option you have, if that's what you want to do. In my opinion, you can proceed, because I don't view this as a disposal of real estate. It's not like an easement where, if it was an easement, we'd actually have to consider it like a disposal, because an easement, you don't get it back. Here, we never lose ownership interest in this property. We're just letting someone rent it from us for this up to 25-year period.
And it's even in the contract that they have to bring it back to the right standards when they're done.
Yes.
I guess if it's aesthetically going to change a city park, and I guess I would at least like people to know what was going on. I mean, we may very well approve it.
No, I was talking to George.
He's doing sign language.
Oh, I thought
We're done, George.
I have no issue with doing that. If you want to set it for our next council meeting, go through a public input session. That is not difficult to do. It's not terribly time-consuming between now and then to put it in there.
What do you think, Deb?
I think we should do that. See what the public says about it, especially people that live in that area.
I think they hear a lot of complaints about transparency of this city council. I think at least it would show we was putting a foot forward in the right direction if we did that.
We're looking
Staring
at
I mean, I completely agree. I don't personally have a problem with it, but I don't live there. So I guess I don't really have a leg to stand on when it comes to saying we should definitely do this. It's great for the city, as we've shown it adds potentially, first year's gonna add $6,000 of revenue, and for the first 5 years, and then each year thereafter is gonna, each 5-year period thereafter it'll go up. I like the idea of it, but I also do want to hear from the public if they have any concerns about it, so.
If that's where you're gonna head, when someone makes the motion, just add that you want to provide notice to the public similar to what we do when we dispose of real estate. And that way Al and I and Gina can get the notice out just right, and it would fit into that code section, even though we're not disposing of it, but we could still have the public hearing. So if that's what you want to do when you make that motion, throw that in there, that it would be notice to the public as if it was a disposal of real estate.
I guess I'd just like to see some type of what it's gonna look like, you know, maybe in comparison to the water tower. Just, you know, I guess I'll make the motion Carter just said.
You got it, Gina?
Yeah.
She's gonna get to read
was-
it back before you vote on it.
Yeah,
I'll
it was
second
to
that.
set a notice out to the public as if it was a disposal of real estate.
So then on the next agenda, we will have that before we approve the ground lease. It wouldn't have to be two separate meetings or anything like that. We'd just have time for them to speak to it ahead of time.
Yep, the agenda could be created that way, and of course, if you wanted more time again, you could always buy more time.
Okay.
And do you think they could supply the two papers, a picture of what it's gonna look like, sort of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can get that. We have some drawings in the agenda. It doesn't give you a relationship to the water tower. It's more of a top or aerial photo of where it would sit, kind of the space that it would use. But I think we can put a relationship together with the water tower for you. I do believe this falls, I believe it's short enough so they're not required to have the flashing lights and what have you on it, which would be the primary concern in a residential neighborhood.
That's a never paid attention. Do we have one on the water tower?
And then,
Flashing lights?
I
I
don't,
don't remember if there's one at the very top or not. I don't-
yeah, I don't believe there is,
I
but
don't
I wouldn't
think
swear to
so.
that. I know the tower that the county uses has one.
I think there is at the one by the sheds.
There's one out there at the radio station, well, there's a couple on the radio station tower out there on the north side of town, and I don't remember off the top of my head how tall that tower is. I know it only supposed to reach to Jessup, but it reaches to about Cedar Falls. So,
Well,
You need a second?
No. Austin did second.
Okay.
yeah.
Discussion's done? Okay, Gina, I'm gonna let you read what the motion is, and then we'll do a roll call.
Okay, your motion is gonna be to put your ground lease with the Iowa RSA number 12 limited partnership for the communications antenna tower as a notice to the public as if it was a disposal of real estate.
Want to do a roll call, please?
Lennius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is under reports for Mr. George Lake that Mike was trying to tell him he had to leave.
We almost got done before you got here, George. We almost
He's
made
trying to
it.
get rid of you, Mike.
If we'd have just all voted on that tower, we'd have been done
Is
and
that why you were pushing it so quickly?
Yeah, that's why he was trying to get it accomplished
Killed
so that,
another tree.
I will. Actually, I already have one, remember?
that's good to me.
It'll be my repeat.
Michael and Mr. Lanius, to quote Jim Croce, you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit in the wind, and you don't wear an Atlanta Falcons hat in
Oh,
Green
you
Bay
do.
country.
You have to. It was I lost a bet to a pretty important kid, so.
Okay, well, thank you for the high school students out, the crowd here. George Lake with Buchanan County Economic Development. And I'd like to start off first by welcoming Bonnie to my board and to thank Denny for serving as long as he did on the board. He was the most dependable board member that we had. I appreciate the time that he spent with us. And he's always good for a story or two.
I have to
Anyway.
start having stories now when I come? Set
Well,
me
of
up for
course.
that? Oh,
Of course.
okay.
Mike had stories too, but I don't know if I want to get into that. So anyway,
Very boring memory.
packet of information, the top sheet labeled number 1, I'll use that as my agenda to quickly go through this. As you know, we've been an organization for 21 years, and in the life of our board, we've been predominantly financed by the communities in Buchanan County. And my board of directors, they'd like to be a little bit more aggressive on our outreach that we're doing to the communities and do more to market ourselves as a community as well. And so we reached out to the businesses of Buchanan County, asked if they would make a 3-year commitment to help finance our operations. And 46 businesses in Buchanan County had agreed to make a 3-year commitment to help finance our organization. And how are we going to use that additional monies? As you know, the branding session that your community recently engaged in, and Al, correct me if I've got these figures wrong, what was it, 82% of the respondents said that their main source of news is social media. That's amazing. And to reach out to that entity, and that's how it is around the world. It's not just Independence, Iowa. And so to market ourselves as a region, just to get information out, whether it's, well, we don't announce school closings, but various things around the county, we need to reach out through social media to reach the population. As it is, my organization manages 2 websites and 3 Facebook sites. It takes a lot of time. And so we are looking at hiring a part-time communications manager. And their focus will be updating and maintaining our various social media things, as well as writing press releases, and then also helping me do some of the grunt work that goes along with maintaining and filing records and things of that nature. We're also reducing the fees that we're requesting from the cities. This year it's by 10 cents per capita. It's not a lot, but we'll review it again next year and see if we can reduce that even further. Now, in terms of expanding outreach, we're looking at doing a lot more of lunch and learn sessions where we bring a speaker in, and I did a survey monkey of about 200 businesses last year, and the overwhelming response was they wanted information on human resource, on technology issues, and marketing. And so we'll be bringing in specialists and have lunch and learn sessions, and those cost anywhere from $200 to $400 for us to put on each one of those. So those funds will help pay for that as well. So once again, we're trying to be very proactive in responding to the needs of the businesses, as well as letting folks know about Buchanan County. The next thing down the line, you're all familiar with Independence Enterprise. It's been a nonprofit group here in Independence for over 40 years. They've done a lot of great things in this community. The first Triangle Plastics factory in this community, it was actually at that point Superior Plastics. Independence Enterprise put up a building and they leased it back to Mr. Blinn, and at some point he got up and running and he got his, he went out and got his own buildings and facilities operational, but they helped Mr. Blinn get established here. The L&M Radiator business that was here, at one point they employed over 100 people. They still have their building here. Their equipment is all in place. It's updated and it's maintained on a regular basis. I visit with them at least every other month, and they assure me that once the market turns around, they're wanting to return here. Independence Enterprise put up that building and leased it to them. L&M Radiator, they decided they're just going to buy the building. Independence Enterprises, they also developed 12 lots out near Walmart, and they've sold 9 of those lots, 3 of them this past year. After the L&M building was bought, Independence Enterprise is out of debt, and they're also tired. They originally had over, 25, 26 people involved with it. There's only about 4 that actively participated. And so the stakeholders in it, they voted to dissolve their organization, and they have 3 lots remaining, and we're in the process of transferring ownership over to Buchanan County Economic Development. Now, the next thing down on your agenda there, the countywide housing needs assessment. We had our first meeting, very good turnout. We're doing a countywide housing needs assessment for all 11 communities. By doing all 11 at once, it's tremendously less expensive for all the communities. It's moving forward, and on your packet there, page number 4, that indicates the schedule of where it's going right now. And it is anticipated to be completed in September, and I will be shocked beyond measure if every community in Buchanan County is not identified as having a shortage of housing. Now, once that has been officially done, where a proven need has been established, we'll be working with Al Roeder here, certainly in Independence, that there are a number of programs that are available for builders and developers, grants, tax credits, zero-interest loans to help buy down the cost of new housing. And then we can move forward with that. But it is continuing on, and I will certainly publish when our next meeting is. And, you know, anyone's welcome to attend. We had a good turnout. I believe Independence had 5 people in attendance. Okay, next item on the line, the mobile computer lab. You know, as we've been doing a number of these business jellies, it's a networking type thing that we've been doing around the county. We ask folks, bring your laptop, come in and work with folks from around the county and get business ideas. A lot of folks don't have laptops. When we do our lunch and learns, we'll ask folks, bring your laptops. A lot of folks don't have laptops. So I reached out to Rockwell Collins and I explained what it is we're hoping to do, and Rockwell Collins donated 10 laptops to Buchanan County Economic Development. So when we go out and do our various business meetings and such, and we ask folks to bring laptops, we can tell them, if you don't have one, don't worry, we've got one for you. Now, we'll certainly make these available to other social service agencies as well if they've got a need, you know, to borrow some laptops. Once again, we're trying to engage in much greater outreach. Now, the next item, page 6 and 7 in your packet. I don't know if you remember, but about 2.5 years ago, Buchanan County Economic Development engaged in a very intensive labor shed study of Buchanan County. Basically, we looked at 50 miles from Independence. And in Iowa, many folks, they'll say they'll drive 50 miles for a job. I did it for 7 years, where I had a good job and I commuted for 7 years. And so this labor shed study reached out and identified, you know, for instance, I can give you a ballpark figure as to how many welders there are within 50 miles of Buchanan County, how many nurses assistants there are. In addition to that, there is information on their wages, their benefits, what percentage of them would be willing to take a different job, their education level. It's very detailed. Now you might say, well, why is this important? 4 times this past year, Buchanan County manufacturers called me up and said, George, we're having difficulty attracting workers. What should I be paying them? Because I want to pay $1 an hour more than what the going rate is so I can attract workers. Other things that if companies are interested in locating in Buchanan County, almost every time the first thing they ask is, what's the workforce like? I can tell them that. I can show them. I can give them very detailed information. And this information is up on our website. You know, just get on my website under workforce issues, and the reports are up there. Okay, and the next item on the line is, as you know, Buchanan County is part of a 6-county region where we market ourselves to the world. It's much more effective if we're sitting down with a company for the first time and we say, come to look at the Cedar Valley as a possible location to build. Because rather than saying, well, Independence, we've got almost 6,000 people, or Buchanan County, we have almost 21,000, we can say in our Cedar Valley region, you know, we got 227,000 people in our region, 39,000 people engaged in advanced manufacturing. That gets their attention. And then once they get their attention, then we can highlight Independence or Waverly or whatever. But first we have to get them to look at us. And so we were recently awarded, by recently in the last week and a half, a $38,000 grant from the state of Iowa to help market our region. Now, to get that grant, we had to provide a $42,000 match, and Buchanan County's share is $2,125. The County Board of Supervisors, they said that they would provide that match. They've got their local option sale tax dollars that are used for community outreach. And so over the course of the next 2 years, we've got about $40,000 a year that we can spend to market our region. And on your little sheet there, where it says Cedar Valley Jobs, one of the things that we're engaged in is developing a brand-new regional website so we can provide information for our existing businesses as well as companies that are looking at the region. The one thing that I've heard a lot about is people complain that there isn't a place where they can easily post a job or find a job for our region. And so we're going to have a 6-county regional job website where it's very easy to post jobs. You don't have to remember passwords, you know, get a secret decoder ring or anything like that. It's just you hop on the website and you post a job. You can get up there and you can look for a job, and you can search by county or you can search by the region. But that should be operational. We're doing a dry run of it actually today. So it should be operational here real soon. Now, the next thing I'm going to touch on very briefly is in your packet, page number 5. And for the numerically challenged among us, myself included, that's on the back of page 4. All right.
You're not
There.
an example of our workforce to the TV people, are you?
What's that?
I said, you're not an example
Oh.
of our county workforce. Most of them know 4 and 5.
Oh, I think so. I think so. And what this is, there is a, if you want to call it a national marketing group, Area Development. And every year, Area Development, they interact with businesses around literally the world on advertising, places to build, and information on different locales. And they do a survey of the people that follow them, and there's over 2,000 businesses and individuals that responded this year. And they ask, what are the options that are driving your decisions on either staying where you are or locating somewhere else? And not surprisingly, the number one option is availability of skilled labor. And this is so crucial. And so some of the things that we're doing, Governor Branstad just initiated a new program today, and the information, if it hasn't been in the news, it'll be in tomorrow, on focusing on education for our workers. And this is crucial. And certainly Iowa, as compared to many states, we have a highly educated workforce. But if we can increase that educational outreach to make our workers better workers, being able to engage in more activities, it's very useful. And the next one is highway accessibility. We're really pretty good with that. And just going right on down the line, but these are the issues when my board of directors and we sit down and do our strategic planning, we look at how are we going to engage in the next 3 years? And these are the factors we're going to look at. These are the issues that need to be addressed to help ensure that Buchanan County continues to grow. And we are one of only 19 counties in the state that has not lost population since 2010. So we're doing okay. We can always do better. And the last thing on that blue sheet, we're doing our leadership program again. It's been, each year we've had about 16, 15 people. This year we're doing it during the daytime. We found, I did once again, Survey Monkey, and it was overwhelming. They'd like to do it during the daytime. And it's going to be held on Tuesday mornings at 8:30 for 8 Tuesdays in a row. So tomorrow I'll be getting this up on I did post it, I think, one time, but I'm going to be really emphasizing this in the next few days.
Where is it being held at?
It's going to be held, the locations, most of them will be held in Independence. We'll have at least one in Winthrop and one in Jessup. In the years past, we've held them each day in a different community around the county. And this year, with Independence having the largest population, the overwhelming response was, let's hold it in Independence or along Highway 20.
So whereabouts, though, in Independence are you doing?
The sites, I'm still, I don't want to say scrounging for locations, but I'm looking for locations. But we'll get something lined up. A lot of it depends on how many folks we have sign up. Any questions, folks?
Whoever you talk with on skilled labor, be sure you emphasize soft skills.
You know, there was a report came out, and this is also posted on my website, looking at Iowa in the future, and the biggest issue is the soft skills. Can they communicate? Can they work together? Can they play nice?
Can they come to work?
Yeah, show up, work sober on time. And that is an issue. You're absolutely right. But the soft skills are important, and I believe that the schools are emphasizing that as well.
I mean, I talk to other people, and we can train our employees basically if they've got a basic skill set.
Yep.
But it's just amazing, the coming to work, communicating, getting along with other people. I mean, those soft skills are really, which is probably part of society, just nothing but a reflection.
Well, and it's kind of interesting with that, if you look at the division of gender in manufacturing, there's more women engaged in manufacturing than men. Women tend to have the better soft skills. And so, but you're absolutely right, that those are important issues. Bonnie's up there smiling. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
it.
I agree with that.
He doesn't have any statistics to back that up, Bonnie.
I totally agree with him.
He just pulled that
I
one
bet
out
you
of the air.
Deb agrees with that, too.
Is there, okay, any questions? Thank you for allowing me to appear.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Okay, next on the agenda is any council committee reports tonight? Did anybody have? I wasn't aware of any.
Soft skills might get shared.
I shared. Yeah, I too. I shared. I have soft skills.
Doug, would you like to be our first city employee report for your department?
I just got a couple things. Getting back to that wind tower ordinance you got there, the reason it's numbered the way it is, we renumbered it. We want to put that in our zoning ordinance is where that'll fit in, so that's why it's numbered the way it is. And then I don't know if any of you took any complaints on Main Street out here by the hospital and all the dirt on the road and stuff today. I went up after work to look it over. They wanted us to come up and see if we couldn't help them, maybe put down some water or something, to help them wash it off until they got their equipment there. I went up and looked at it, and I just felt if we put down water, there was two issues. We're gonna make a bigger mess than there already is, plus it's all gonna wash into storm sewers, so I told them we just couldn't do that. So they were working on getting a broom in there to try to get it up, so they're working at it, but it's this time of year, and we're not used to, this ground is soft, and they're digging in both the hospital and across the street at REC, so they're working at it anyway to get it cleaned up.
Okay, thank you. Dustin?
Good evening. Just a couple of quick things. On the 27th of this week, that'd be a Friday. I believe it's this Friday, is our beanbag tournament at River's Edge for the K-9 unit. I'm talking to Officer Cass and all the stuff he's gone through and how many people have signed up. It'll be probably the biggest one that Bob's ever had. Hopefully we can keep getting more and more. They've actually had to order a bigger bracket because he didn't have one big enough for the amount of people that are going to be showing up for this. That's why the bill was late on your thing, is because they had to actually have more stuff for the people to buy and so forth. So I'd like to say thank you to all the people that have donated stuff. We have a TV, we have boards, a big State of Iowa made out of wood. It's painted, and our conference room is just getting overrun by stuff that people have donated for this event. So we have quite a bit. Second thing that I have is we are successfully in our second, I guess, term you'd call it. We have another intern from the high school, Nick Kramer, who's riding around with us doing, learning how the law enforcement is, something he wants to go into. He has to do 35 hours to receive 1 credit for school. We successfully started our second student for that. And we also have a college intern that comes once a week now from Hawkeye Community College who's doing their internship with us as well. So I won't put them on the same day, otherwise it kind of overwhelms people. But I think we're doing pretty well on involving the school and the colleges and stuff in with our department, kind of get them helpful with them and knowing what they're wanting to do for a living. So
Very good.
Good.
Thank you.
no problem.
Laura, did you have anything?
Very good, Bonnie. You didn't miss her tonight.
No, I didn't. You saw her.
Good evening.
Evening.
Well, first of all, the Friends of the Library, they are currently doing their membership drive. And so they've sent out letters. They're on kind of a beige envelope with handwritten addresses. So if you get one of those, please open it, consider being a Friends member or giving a donation. And if you don't get one, we have membership forms at the library also for everyone out there. And so on that note with the Friends, last year they raised $6,000 that we used for different programs and materials at the library. So they, with their book sales and their membership drives, they've done a lot to help the library out. Also, our foundation has last year raised, or we were able to use about $30,000 from the foundation too. So I know you guys are looking through all those spreadsheets and line items, and those are just some things that aren't included in there, but aren't reflected as revenues for the library. But the foundation and the Friends really help us to be able to increase our level of programming and service that we give to the community. So we really appreciate them. And one of the things that it enables us to do is the One Book, One Independence program, which is starting. The books are out now, and the programs start and will be in February and March. And the sponsors are, of course, the Friends of the Library and the Independence Public Library Foundation, also the Leona Greenlee Memorial, and Laces and Susan Garber are our sponsors. And thank you to all the people who gave money during our Give Me 5 campaign. That also helped us to be able to have the program. You'll start seeing some posters out that look like that. And the book this year is called Arrowwood. And it looks like this. It's a mystery, and our Citizens Committee chose the title. It's set in Keokuk, Iowa, in a historic home, and Arden Arrowwood is the protagonist, and she grows up or has her first years. She lives in Keokuk in this historic home, and she has younger twin sisters, and they disappear while while she's supposed to be watching them. And the family moves shortly after that, and the case is never solved. They don't know what happened to the girls. And so she, in her later 20s is when the book starts, and she inherits the home and decides to go back there, and she wants to figure out whatever happened to her sisters and kind of get her life back on track. So it's a really good book, and I, of course, have copies for everybody, which I will
Somebody
hand
asked
out.
me if that's on audiobook at all.
It is on audiobook. We'll have 2 audiobook copies, and there's also the digital audio that's downloadable from the Bridges website. We also have digital ebooks that you can download. And we have they're on our Nooks that you can check out at the library. And we ordered 100 copies of these to begin with. We are out by Friday. Yikes. It's a good problem to have. I think people are very excited about it. And so we have ordered more copies and 40 more copies, and I don't think we can afford to order any more, so I'm hoping. So everybody out there, once you read it, if you'd get it back to one of the locations or to the library or pass it on to a friend, any of those are great. We're not checking them out even from the library. They're just all kind of honor system floating around. The places where you hopefully can get them. We had one business that's out, but we'll be getting more to them now that we've got more books in. But Buttermilk Cafe and M's Coffee and Larry's and S&K Collectibles and the Falcon Center all have copies. And then there's some at the school for the students. And we also have them in our, or at least they were, in our little free libraries. We initially stocked those with some copies. Those are just kind of hit and miss. We're not going to look at them, every other day or anything to see if the copies are there. So, and then of course at the library. So I had to hide these so that I could bring them here tonight. And inside is a little card like this, and it tells all the different programs. As you can imagine, it lends itself to some different neat programs with the historic homes, and we have a lot of that here. And Independence, of course, and cold cases and forensics and spy training for the kids and a murder mystery done by the River Arts Theater group, too. So, and the police department is helping us with the spy training. And the Historical Society is working with us for the historical home tour, and also there's a presentation by Bill Reedy and Judy Olson on historic architecture of Independence. So lots of really neat things coming up, and I'll go ahead and give you your copies. And inside each one is one of these cards that tells about the program.
Did you ever, on the orphan train last year, do you ever get an idea of how many people?
I will let you have the book because I'm sharing with somebody, but I want this to keep track of. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Actually, yeah, I'll read it on my flight next month.
Oh, that's right, you're leaving us for a while.
This has nice large print for old people like me.
Old people this is great for me.
Sheena, will you read it fairly fast?
Yeah, probably.
If you want to just give me yours after you get done, then, or if you need another one, because if she's gonna, be done with it in a week or so.
Well, I'm gonna
Whatever.
start it, but I'm gonna probably read the majority of it February 10th
Okay.
and 13th. Maybe
Oh,
poolside.
you're really organized. I don't even know what I'm doing February 10th.
I know what I'm doing in February, but.
Mike, if you take extra care, you can do this in the fish house.
No, I can't. I can't do that.
Extra care is good for the fish
I
house.
can't.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
Deposit from you if you take nice fish.
Thanks, Laura.
I don't see any other department heads. Am I missing anybody? No? Okay. Deb, do you have anything you would like to report? Other than the weather?
The only thing I'd like to say is I've gotten a couple calls from people on, it's between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue Northeast on 5th Street. It's a hill going up there, about it not being plowed during the ice storm, or other times too, where the sand truck just goes down the center and doesn't spread much sand. If they could just hit both sides of it and throw sand on both sides, because there's houses that use it on both sides. Otherwise, I think our street department does a a really good job at cleaning off roads, but this has been an issue that I've gotten a few phone calls on it and some pictures. A mail carrier got stuck there, had to have a tow truck there. There was kids sliding with sleds on that. It was a dangerous thing I got a call about. So I've gotten a few issues on that call. So thank you.
What was the streets or what was the area again?
It's between 2nd and 3rd Avenue Northeast on 5th Street.
Okay.
It's the hill going up to St. John's.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Austin, do you have anything?
Place to sleep.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Danny?
Not a thing.
Mike?
Nothing.
Bob?
Nope, were we supposed to talk about committees?
That was earlier.
I asked about any committee reports to start with. Was
Okay,
there-
I
Do you have a committee report?
yeah, I just briefly, we did have Public Works Committee meeting on the 17th. And the minutes are on the website. I think Al put out that we did the engineering requests for the things we talked about last meeting. We talked a little bit about Bob Beatty with Parks and Rec. He talked about they've got some heating, or they're working on getting heating in the back room at River's Edge so they can store some things there. Mark said that well number 7 was finished and up and working. The MHI well is still down. So I think anything else that was,
Okay, I found this
the old-
percent into well number 7 was working.
Number
The,
7 well is working.
The only other item we have is the roof at the River's Edge. We're taking a look at what we can do there because it's got some water leaks. It's a flat roof. The estimates for replacing or overlaying the flat roof are pretty steep, so we're actually taking a look at, maybe it would be as cost-effective to put a single slope roof on there so the water runs off versus replacing it with a flat roof. But very early in that process, we don't have any numbers yet, but Bob is dealing with a fair amount of water up there, especially when it's cold and the water can't get to the snuffers to drain off.
Yeah.
They're actually up there squeegeeing the roof and taking the water off on some of these days where it's been thawing.
yep, and I guess the other thing is Fox Engineering is kind of fine-tuning their report on the sewer plant on a long-term capital improvement. So we should be getting that fairly soon, so that was the Public Works. Today we had the Public Safety meeting, and basically, as Dustin talked about, the raising funds for the K-9 unit. We talked about the fire department. You were switching to another engine to try to keep engine 3 working a little bit longer with mileage for answering auto accidents. Airport, we talked about insurance liability levels for hangars, people renting out there, FBOs and T-hangars. We have, based upon recommendation of our insurance company, requiring $2 million for everyone, for liability for rental property out there, and as the contracts come up, we will be inserting the new liability levels. We had some discussion about dealing with the fly-ins, not fly-ins, the crop dusters, and trying to come up with how to prevent chemicals and things from getting onto the tarmac and on the grass, and trying to get a little better organization on how the crop dusters are operating at the airport. Denny or Austin, other things we talked about?
Probably, but I think you covered it most of it.
Okay, so those were the two
Why-
committees.
Why, with the 2 million, if it's a recommendation, if it's from the insurance company, why wouldn't we do it? open each of the contracts and require it of everybody.
Well, T-hangers would be a good example. Those leases come up July 1st of each year. When those come up this year, we will make that
Okay, so they
change.
come up everything comes up fairly fast.
Relatively, I mean, the FBO contract with Jonathan and with Mr. Connell, they have a set period that's more than a year, but they're not that far out there. When those come open, again, we'll
I
readdress
mean, it
those.
seems like if it's an important thing, you wouldn't wait a long period to get them in.
The one that we did address, Mr. Walter, on his FBO contract, he had some liability coverages in there that go back, they've been at the same level since 2002. A little over a year ago, we had a conversation. I just asked him if he would voluntarily provide additional insurance, which he did do, and we do have him at the higher level. The FBO lease agreement does not have that stated in there, but he has provided that. Again, volunteered it when we discussed it. We'll get them there. It's a guideline that ICAP has put out. We're trying to bring everybody to that level, but again, it's.
Well, as
take 'em
long as
they
it
come up.
happens fairly soon, I understand.
But if people have a contract and they're working on what that contract calls for, it's, I don't think you can just break a contract with people, and so.
No, I don't think you break it, but if it's something that, yeah, I mean, you can have addendums or whatever. If it's something that's an extremely critical thing, and evidently it's not, you know.
It's not mandated.
It's not right today, so. But as long as it's sooner than later, I understand.
I did have a question on that well out to MHI. What is iron seems to be the problem out there?
The iron bacteria continues to be an issue. They've tried to bring it back online, I think, 3 times now. Each time they flush it. When they do their required testing, bacteria testing, that continues to show up. What they're going to need to do is pull the well again and in essence, inject a stronger dose of chlorine deeper into the well to try and address it. To this point, what they've done is just gone as deep as what the pipes go. Now they're going to try and go deeper.
There's got to be a point in time when we're going to have to consider maybe closing that well down altogether.
Well, if we're not able to control the iron bacteria, that would have to be a consideration. And then we run into the issue of where do we go for an additional water resource?
Never needed it before. We haven't needed it for over a year because it hasn't been working.
Well, we haven't had any real extreme drought either. I mean, I don't know at what point do you get to having enough water, or how hard do you press your other wells. I don't have an answer for you on that, Denny, but that's something that has been talked about.
I'm just saying sooner or later, we're going to have to start considering it, I think.
If you can't get the iron bacteria out, that would be a
From
consideration.
what I understand, it's on a different aquifer than the rest of the town. Yeah, that's why we don't have any problems with the rest of the town, but we do out there.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to do with the specific aquifer or if it's that well. I mean, I can't answer that. I know that where we're at right now, we're going to give it another
Water
try.
supply, for some reason, sort of tainted on us. I think we ought to really consider it. That's my 2 cents worth.
And the last thing I have, and it's, I think, for all the citizens, if they would do it, one of the comments that I've heard from a number of citizens in our street projects over the last few years is, why on earth don't we fix 150 north and south in town? That the streets bouncing around, that's the first thing everybody sees. Our problem is that Highway 150 north and south, it's not a city street. And so the state of Iowa is required, they would be required to do a replacement of that. We've tried to talk with the regional DOT manager and basically got brushed off. So personally, I've contacted our senator, representative, governor, and I think if all of the citizens would do that, because we have to put pressure on the state DOT to get that taken care of. That's not something the city council can do anything about. We get a small amount of money every year to do some minor repairs on it, maybe fix potholes, but it does need to be worked on, but it has to come from citizens putting some pressure on the state representatives for that. So that's all I've got.
Okay. Gina, did you have anything?
Our state auditors were here the past 2 weeks. They did leave on Friday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. Our preliminary report seems good from now. We still have to wait and have the actual auditor check it over, and they'll send it back to us, and then we'll bring it to you guys, of course. The IRS got back to us on their investigation or their audit, and they are asking for a third request of information. Now they are focusing a little bit more on 2015 and information from that to compare before they give you a final decision on whatever action or if any they're going to take. So we are preparing that. It's almost finished. It isn't due until February 13th, but I would imagine it will be out to them this week. So we'll wait to hear back from them on what their decision or opinion is on all of that stuff.
Okay. Carter?
I'm doing a research project for Al that it's going a little slower than usual because I've been in trial so much this month, and again, I start again tomorrow, a new trial, but hopefully I'll get it done by the end of the week. I have a draft done. And Laura and I have an issue with the library that I'm working on, and hopefully we'll get that worked out by the end of the month as well. And otherwise, everything is up to speed, and we're on top of everything. And I just wanted to say I didn't get a chance to thank Don Brown for his service, and so if he's listening in TV land, I wanted to thank him. I enjoyed getting to know him on the council, and I hope to see him again someday, but since I don't live here, I may never will, so I wanted to thank him, at least in public, for his service. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Al, do you have anything?
I've got several items. One is the Northeast Iowa League is holding their quarterly meeting in Independence on next Tuesday at Bill's Steakhouse. If you're available, the topic is self-funding or is it
Self-insurance.
Self-funded insurance, right.
Yeah.
And we are partially self-funded, so that would be something of interest and kind of where that's going with the Affordable Care Act. If you let Gina know, we can get you registered, but again, at Bill's Steakhouse next Tuesday. We do have to know tonight or tomorrow morning at the latest.
I'm planning on going. I hear you that.
If you haven't seen it yet, Independence was recognized as the second safest community in Iowa, in communities of all sizes, which I thought was pretty impressive. Only Orange City, Iowa was ranked higher than Independence. So kudos to our community and our police department and the work that they do.
City attorney's keeping you all safe.
City attorney.
City clerk.
Was that
I
included
mean,
in there?
Yeah. You guys on that side of the room.
Exactly.
I'm partially on the side of the room. Do I count?
We're not paying you more.
The one thing that I did see that people have talked about, it's just starting to creep up again. I've gotten notice of multiple ADA compliance audits in the state of Iowa. So the Department of Justice is taking a look at public facilities again, and they are in eastern Iowa. So something to bear in mind when we talk about ADA and our requirements there. There are people watching, and they do care, apparently. So keep that in mind. The last thing I have is our RFQs that Bob, request for qualifications that Bob referenced. We do have 3 separate RFQ proposals out there. The streets RFQ is due February 2nd. The stormwater study is due February 9th, and the Southwest Water System is due February 21st. And when these come in, each of you will get a copy of the proposals from each of the firms and a rating sheet, and you're going to be asked to go through and evaluate each of the proposals and rank them based on the scoring criteria and each one is a little bit different depending on the purpose. And that's how you'll select or narrow them down to which ones you would like to interview or visit with. So as part of the selection process, we're required to do it for the water system because it's a community development block grant. It's a federal fund, and we're going through a similar process for all three of them. And there is a fair amount of interest out there in these projects.
Did I miss anybody? I just had a couple of things we were supposed to have on the agenda for Al's evaluation tonight, but time-wise, we're not able to get that accomplished. So Austin, Mike, and Bob are staying afterwards to go over those, and Denny just gave me his tonight. No, last week was time. So we will have that on the agenda for February. I also had mentioned before about wanting to get a citizens committee together to review all our ordinances, so I'm making that request to the citizens again. I do have one or two people I have talked to that have agreed to be on this. I want at least 5 different citizens, and then I have a few people that are city employees or whatever that are going to be on a committee. We won't have more than 9 people on the committee, and we'll be meeting at least once a month, if not twice a month. But we'll go through the complete ordinance book. That committee will make recommendations or suggestions or whatever to the full council then as far as any changes. We want to try and get this done before we go pay any money to have the book codified or anything to that degree and have those in there. So it will be strictly a committee that will be making recommendations to the full council as far as any changes of any of our ordinances. I'm not sure whether we still have an ordinance about spitting on the sidewalk or not, or anything to that degree. We'll look through all of them and see what things need to be changed or corrected or suggestions that that committee will have. So I want 5 people. I have about 2, so I still need 3 more people. If there's anybody out there that would like to be a part of that and make that commitment, probably for the year, but at least once or twice a month, please get a hold of me here at City Hall or personally. My cell phone number is 319-327-0674, and I can get text on that also, or you can send me an email at mayor@indytel.com. So if you have an interest or willing to make that commitment as a volunteer, I would appreciate that. As soon as possible, I'd like to start those meetings in February. So other than that, I can't think of anything else. Anybody else? Got it all? Then I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
Let's go home.
I'll second that.
Motion from Vaughn, second by Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Aye.
Thank you, Deb. Motion, we are adjourned. Thank you.